All right, Rich Van Tassel back with you, finishing up our Week 13 game recaps. The Buffalo Bills losing to the Oakland Raiders. It was 38-24. Buffalo drops to 6-6. Oakland moves to 10-2. Tyrod Taylor for the Buffalo Bills, 18 of 35, 191 yards, no touchdowns, one interception. LaShawn McCoy, 17 carries, 130 yards, 7.6 yards per rush. Mike Gillislee, 8 for 49, 6.1 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Tyrod Taylor, 3 for 30, 10 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. The team altogether 30 carries, 212 yards, 7.1 yards per rush, and 3 touchdowns. And yet they still got their doors blown off in the second half. They couldn't hold a 15-point lead with that rushing attack. Very surprising. LaShawn McCoy, 7 receptions, 61 yards. Sammy Watkins, 3 for 38. Marquise Goodwin, 4 for 35. Tyrod Taylor lost a fumble. The team had no sacks. Nothing of note in the return games, no interceptions, and Dan Carpenter was 1 for 1 in his field goals. For the Oakland Raiders, Derek Carr was not great in this game. 19 of 35, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So obviously not bad, but his completion percentage was not there. Latavius Murray, 20 carries, 82 yards, 4.1 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Richard, 9 for 53, 5.9 yards per rush. Altogether 32 of 139, 4.3 yards per rush. Michael Crabtree, 7 for 74, top receiver. Amari Cooper, 2 for 59. Mikael Rivera, 3 for 57. Latavius Murray, 3 for 23, receiving out of the backfield. Khalil Mack recovered a fumble. Khalil Mack also had a sack, 1 of 4. Bruce Irvin also had a sack as well. So those two guys are getting the pressure needed. Nate Allen had an interception. Sebastian Janikowski, 3 for 3 in his field goals. So, as we discussed with Buffalo when we were doing the game previews, were they finally going to be able to win a big game? They weren't able to. This is why they will not make the playoffs, most likely. I'd be shocked if they do. I'm not one of the people who act like, every loss at this stage of the season means the team's eliminated. No, because it often isn't the case, and a lot of times people will talk about a team that's 6-6 and they'll come back to make the playoffs. The New York Giants were 6-6 and won a Super Bowl, but at this point they just showed no ability to win these games. They were up 24-9 and ran the ball, averaging over 7 yards per carry on 30 carries from multiple different running backs, and you couldn't hold this lead. That's very surprising. And give the Oakland Raiders credit, another comeback victory. They're up to 10-2. Pittsburgh beating the New York Giants 24-14. Pittsburgh now 7-5. The Giants dropped to 8-4. Their 6-game winning streak snapped. Eli Manning 24 of 39, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 hard interceptions. Really hurt this team. Paul Perkins 7 carries for 38 yards, 5.4 yards per rush. Rashad Jennings 6 for 19, 3.2 yards per rush. 14 of 56, altogether 4 yards per rush. Odell Beckham Jr. 10 receptions, 100 yards, no touchdowns. Rashad Jennings 6 for 34. 1 touchdown. Will Tye 2 for 22. Sterling Shepard 4 for 21 and a touchdown. Eli Apple recovered a fumble. They had 2 sacks, the Giants did. Both of them belonged to Olivier Vernon. Eli Apple also had an interception. Bobby Rainey had a 38-yard kick return. No field goals attempted for the Giants. For the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger 24-36, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Le'Veon Bell threw a pass. It was incomplete. Le'Veon Bell, the top rusher, 29 carries, 118 yards, 4.1 yards per rush. Ladarius Green, 6 receptions, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. Le'Veon Bell, 6 for 64. Antonio Brown, 6 for 54 and a touchdown. Le'Veon Bell lost a fumble. The team had 2 sacks. Lawrence Timmons and Sean Davis had the interceptions. Timmons returned his 58 yards that came in the red zone, as well as Sean Davis's one. Killer there. And Randy Bullock, who they just acquired, went 3 for 3 in his field goals. We talked about the potential of the kicker being out. Giants, the running game continues to struggle, and I thought it was coming along, but it fell back a little bit now. Paul Perkins putting up good yards per rush average. They're not doing it enough, though. Secondary got beat a little too much in this game by the tight end Green, which is surprising considering how well Landon Collins has been playing this year. Odell Beckham Jr. from Eli Manning. I was expecting more. I didn't think Pittsburgh's secondary was that great coming into this game. They couldn't get it going, and they lost the game. So their 6-game winning streak snapped. Going to make it very difficult for the Giants to win the division now against the Cowboys, even with a win next week. and having the tiebreaker. They'll still be 2 down with 4 left, or with 3 left to play after that. So it's going to be difficult. The Giants still looking good for a wild card, but you don't want to see any of the bad habits creep up and see them go into a slump following that 6-game winning streak. Arizona getting the win. Told you they were going to win this game. They were going to rise up and find a way, and they did exactly that. 31-23 over the Washington Redskins. Arizona now 5-6-1. Washington 6-5-1. Kirk Cousins 21 of 37, 271 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Robert Kelly 14 carries, 63 yards. That's 4.5 yards per rush. Chris Thompson 2 for 24. Kirk Cousins rushed twice for no yards and somehow had a touchdown. I don't know how that works. Or the team altogether 18 of 87, 4.8 yards per rush and the touchdown. Pierre Garçon, 7 receptions, 78 yards. Deshaun Jackson, 1 for 59. Vernon Davis, 5 for 47. Jamison Crowder, 3 for 42. He had the touchdown. Kirk Cousins lost a fumble. Maurice Lionel-Harris fumbled. It was not lost. And Chris Thompson recovered a fumble. They had 2 sacks. Ryan Kerrigan had another one of them. Kerrigan's playing very well this year. No interceptions. Nothing of note in the return games. Dustin Hopkins, 3 for 3 in his field goals. Arizona, Carson Palmer in this game. 30 of 46, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. David Johnson, 18 carries, 84 yards, 4.7 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Altogether, the team 24 of 88, 3.7 yards per rush. David Johnson, top receiver, 9 for 91, a touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald, 10 for 78. Jermaine Gresham, 5 for 52. J.J. Nelson, 1 for 42. Michael Floyd, 3 for 18. Nelson and Michael Floyd also had touchdowns. Mike Iupati recovered a fumble. Marcus Golden also recovered a fumble. David Johnson fumbled. It was not lost. Team had 2 sacks. Calais Campbell and Kevin Minter. Patrick Peterson had the game-sealing interception. Chandler Cantor 1 for 2 in his field goals. Like we said, Arizona was going to rise up in this game. They took some chances, went for it on a 4th down late, went downfield late in the game, scored a touchdown on it. Just figured it out. They came out ready to play. Carson Palmer went deep downfield a lot in this game. Kirk Cousins didn't play poorly, but didn't play spectacularly either. Had 16 incompletions. The secondary, I thought, kept the potent Redskins offense in check. I don't even know if Jordan Reed played in this game. He didn't have a catch, but the top receiver, Pierre Garçon, 7 catches, 78 yards, but it took him 78 catches. They let one over the top to Deshaun Jackson, but if Arizona played like this all season long, they might not be 5-6-1 and in desperate need of a playoff situation. The loss clinches a playoff spot for the Dallas Cowboys. Arizona, I would suppose if they win out, they give themselves a shot. The most they can get to is 9 wins with that tie. I don't know if anyone's going to be 9-7 in contention or holding a wild card spot. They would beat out a 9-7 wild card team with a 9-6-1 record. I just don't see them getting to that point. But we told you it would happen, that the Cardinals would rise up in this game, and sure enough, that's what they did. And we'll see what happens the rest of the way, because there was a lot of expectations for this team, and here they are with a shot, I guess. I don't know. I just wish they would have played like this all season long. Tampa Bay moves to 7-5, 5-1 on the road with a 28-21 victory over the Chargers. Chargers dropped to 5-7. Jameis Winston, 20 of 30, 280 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Doug Martin, 17 of 45, 2.6 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Jaquiz Rodgers, 7 of 29, 4.1 yards per rush. The team altogether 30 of 81, 2.7 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Cameron Brate, 6 receptions, 87 yards, 1 touchdown. Freddie Martino, 4 for 56. Mike Evans, 3 for 38. The team had 2 sacks. Gerald McCoy had one of them. Robert Ayers the other. 2 interceptions, Levante David and Keith Tandy. Levante David returned his 15 yards for a touchdown. Roberto Aguayo, 2 for 3 in his field goals. For the Chargers, Phillip Rivers, 15 of 26, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Melvin Gordon, 17 of 84, 4.9 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Phillip Rivers, 3 for 18, 6 yards per rush. The team, 25 of 119, 4.8 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. So they ran the ball pretty well, but Phillip Rivers wasn't throwing the ball particularly well in this game. They ran it just about as much as they passed. Surprised, you usually don't see that type of numbers with the San Diego Chargers, though they put up a lot of yards through the air. They didn't have many completions. Melvin Gordon, 4 of 54 receiving. Dontrell Inman, 2 for 49. Terrell Williams, 2 for 47. Inman and Williams had touchdowns. No fumbles, only one sack. It was Joey Bosa. He's really coming along. Casey Hayward had an interception. And Josh Lambo 0 for 1 in his field goals. Tampa Bay now tied atop the AFC or the NFC South with the Atlanta Falcons. Both teams at 7-5. Tampa Bay really coming along as of now. San Diego lost. This one really dashes their playoff chances. This is a case where a team losing a game is really up against it. San Diego would really have to win out, but I don't see it happening. Give them credit for the way they've played this year, but just their lack of talent, I think, got them beat by a better team in this one. Tampa Bay was one of those teams that could have been like San Diego. These are two teams going into the year that are probably equally matched, and it just came down to, well, Tampa Bay, no, I'd say is probably a little better. But, the deeper you get into the year, they're a little evenly matched, and it comes down to just breaks, and Tampa Bay was able to get them, and now they're moving forward, and we'll see what happens the rest of the way. All right, that's it today. Be sure to stay tuned tomorrow for a Monday night preview between the Jets and Colts. Relatively meaningless game in that one, except for the Colts have a shot. Might do a playoff preview with 4 games left, looking into the stretch run. What it's going to take, who I think's going to make it. Maybe do something like that tomorrow or Tuesday. I got to see what I have time for, but be sure to check that out should I be able to do it. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions, spreading the word. Anyone who does that, thank you very much. Keep me in mind, and we will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.